Hello, welcome to the video Spring Boot OAuth2 login with GitHub with me Nam Ha Minh from CodeJava.net. Through this video, I will guide you how to implement OAuth2 login using GitHub from an existing Spring Boot web application. In other words, update the login function to allow the users to log in a Spring Boot application using their own GitHub account without the need to register a new account in the website. And upon successful OAuth2 authentication, I will show you how to register new user in the database and update existing user in the database. Suppose that we have an existing web application developed in Java Spring Boot in which we already implemented the customer login feature with the login screen that looks like this, and the users can log into the application using email and password. And before that, the user must register a new account in the website. And in this video, we will update the application to add a hyperlink login with GitHub in the customer login page here. That allows the user to log in to the application using their GitHub account without the need to register a new account on the website. And when the user clicks the login with GitHub link here, the sign in to GitHub screen appears, allowing the user to log into the application using their own GitHub account. So it will be very convenient to the end users. Let me show you an existing Spring Boot web application in Spring 2 SUI IDE here. And let me start this Submit frontend application to test the customer login function. And as you can see in the Spring Boot application configuration file, it is configured to be running an embedded Tomcat server listening on port 80, and the context path is /submit here. So I use Chrome browser to access the home page of the application. Localhost /submit here. And you can see in this web application, the user can click the login link here, and the customer login page appears, and I can log in using email and a password. But before that, I need to register to sign up for a new account in the website. This process may take time, and not every user want to register a new account. So let me try to log in using email and password. So see, I have logged in successfully, and the application displays my name Ravi Kumar here. Log out. Okay, that's the existing customer login function, and in the next few minutes we are going to update this login function to add a hyperlink that allows the users to log in using their own GitHub account without the need to register a new account on the website. So we will be working on a Java project using the following technologies: Spring Boot web application, Spring Data JPA for the data access layer, Spring Security for authentication, Spring OAuth2 client to implement OAuth2 login with GitHub, Thymeleaf as a template engine, Bootstrap and jQuery in the view layer, and MySQL as the database. And to follow this video, make sure that you have installed these software programs on the computer: Java Development Kit, JDK, Spring 2, SUI IDE, SDS, MySQL Server, and MySQL Workbench. And I draw this diagram to help you understand the workflow of OAuth2 authentication with GitHub. Suppose that a user wants to log in into our web application, and he can choose to log in using username and password, or using GitHub. If the user has already registered before, he can use username and password to log in to the application, and the application will process login with database as normal. In case the user wants to log in using his own GitHub account, the application will process a login using OAuth2 authentication, and upon successful OAuth2 authentication, the application will check if the user is new or not. If new, the application will register the user in the database. Else, if not, the application just updates some information of the user, such as the first name. That's the workflow, very simple and clear, right? So here are the steps which we need to follow through this video. First, we need to create a GitHub OAuth app to implement login with GitHub, and then we need to configure Spring Security OAuth2 client, and then we need to update the database table and entity class to add a new column that stores the information about the authentication provider. And then we need to update the login page, adding a hyperlink login with GitHub. And we need to code a custom OAuth2 user and OAuth user service classes. And we need to configure the Spring Security for implementing OAuth2 authentication with GitHub. And we also implement the authentication success handler to register new user or update existing user upon the successful OAuth2 authentication. Now I'm going to show you how to create a new GitHub OAuth app. So go to github.com and sign in. I sign in as the username I'm in here, and go to the settings, and you can see developer settings section here, and you can see OAuth apps here, and create a new OAuth app. Application name is shop me application homepage URL, because we will test the application on localhost, so the homepage URL is localhost /shop me, and click. And the most important thing is authorization callback URL or the direct URI. We need to specify, and upon successful authentication with GitHub, GitHub will direct the user to this callback URL. So the default standard callback URL or direct URI is /login/ OAuth2 /code/ GitHub. So make sure you enter this path after the context path of the application, and click register application. And that's it, very simple, and we have the submit application on GitHub OAuth app, and we can use client ID and client secret in our Spring Boot application to implement a GitHub login. Next, we need to configure the project to use Spring Security OAuth2 client library. Let me stop this application first and open the project Maven pom.xml here, and we need to declare a new dependency to use Spring Security OAuth2 client library. So the group ID is org.springframework.put, and artifact ID is Spring Boot starter dash OAuth2 dash client. That's it. To implement OAuth2 login with GitHub, we need to declare this dependency. And you can see Maven, we automatically download the require jar files for Spring OAuth2 client here. As you can see, Spring Security OAuth2 here. And next, we need to declare some properties for Spring Security OAuth2 in the Spring Boot application configuration file here. Spring Security OAuth2. In the list of suggestion here, choose OAuth2 client registration here. And we specify the registration ID is GitHub. And we need to specify the client ID. Client ID is a value of the client ID code of the OAuth app here. So copy and paste. And the next is for client secret, and we copy the client secret code here, paste, that's it. And we also need to specify the scope, the information that the application can access from a GitHub account is user email and read user information. That's it for the configuration for Spring Security OAuth2 with the registration ID is GitHub. Next, I update the database that is used by the application, and you can see the customers table here, and that stores the information about the customer of the application. And we want to add a new column to store the information about the authentication type or authentication provider to identify the type of the customer, whether a customer is coming from localhost, from local database, or from GitHub, or from other social websites like Google or Facebook. So we enter this table and add a new column at the end here. The column name is what underscore provider, and its data type is varchar, which the length is 15 characters. That's it, very simple. And click apply. Apply. Finish. And let's select all rows from this table. And you can see currently there are 8 customers, 8 rows in this table. And you can see the new column or auth underscore provider here with no values for all the rows. And upon successful OAuth2 authentication with GitHub, we will check if the user is new, not registered in the database. We will insert a new row for that user in the database, and we specify the value for the column. Host provider is GitHub, so you can understand the meaning of using this new column. And then in the project code, we need to update the corresponding entity class, which is here, the customer entity class here, that maps to the customer's table in the database. Okay, but first I need to create an enum in Java, an enum type here. The name is Authentication Provider, and we just specify 2 values local, meaning the user coming is authenticated using username and password on the application's database, and GitHub, meaning the user is authenticated from GitHub. And then in the customer entity class here, we declare new field of that enum type here. private authentication provider, auth provider, and to map this uh, field with the column in the database, we need to use the enumerated annotation, and we want to use a string value for this column, and where we specify the column name is auth underscore provider, and we need to generate the getter and setter methods for the auth provider field. Yeah, generate. Okay, so that's for the entity class. We declare a new field to store the information about the authentication type or authentication provider, to identify the authentication method that the user has been authenticated. Okay. Next, let's update the login page to add a hyperlink that allows the user to log in using GitHub. So open the login page HTML here. And you can see this is a customer login page as you have seen here. And now we add a hyperlink after the heading customer login here. So I use a new div section here, and I use the heading for tag, a tag for the hyperlink login with GitHub, and specify the URL for the hyperlink using th href attributes because I'm using Thymeleaf, and the derivative URL is slash OAuth2 slash authorization slash GitHub. Okay, now let's start this application to see the login with GitHub link. Switch to Chrome browser here. Click login, and you can see the hyperlink login with GitHub appears here, allowing the users to choose either login using email and password or using their own GitHub accounts. Try to click login with GitHub, and of course we got an error because we haven't not implemented the Spring Security OAuth2 authentication yet for GitHub. Next, we need to create a custom OAuth2 user class to represent the user object returned by the OAuth2 authentication process, and also create a custom OAuth user service class to return the custom OAuth user object. So we I create a new Java package here, security.oauth here, and create a new Java class. It's better to stop the application because we are going to make a lot of changes to the code. Create a new class. The class name is custom OAuth2 user, and this class should implement the OAuth2 user interface. OAuth2 user interface here. Okay, okay. And this class wraps an instance of the OAuth2 user object. OAuth2 user here, user, and we generate constructor using field here. Generate And for the methods inherited from the interface OAuth2 user, we just delegate the call to the user object here. We add attributes here, and here user get authorities, and here we return the attribute in this object user object. Get attribute name is name, and because in this application I display the name of the customer here using this Thymeleaf syntax. As you can see, principal is a user object and full name is a property. So I need to get a getter name here, public string get full name, and return the name of the user object. Okay, and now let's create the second class, custom OAuth2 user service class. The class name is custom OAuth2 user service, and this should extend the class default OAuth2 user service here, and we override just a single method. Load user here, the load user method will be invoked by Spring Security OAuth2 upon successful OAuth2 authentication to return the OAuth2 user object. So here we return a custom OAuth2 user object, wrap the instance of the return object from this load user method. So here we return new custom OAuth2 user object. Yeah, that's it. Very simple for the custom OAuth2 user and custom OAuth2 user service classes. Now we come to the most important part of this video is configuring Spring Security to implement OAuth2 authentication with GitHub. Here, open the security configuration class. In this project, I have this security configuration class, and you can see in the configure method for HTTP security here, we configure a form login here, and now we configure OAuth2 login as well. So after this, and specify OAuth2 login here, and we also specify the login page same as form login, so the user can choose to log in using either username, password, or using their GitHub account. And we specify the user info endpoint to use custom user service class here. And we need to have an instance of user service class auto-wide here. Auto-wide private custom OAuth2 user service here. Custom OAuth2 user service, and we need to annotate this class using the service annotation. So Spring Framework will be able to inject a new instance of this class into the Spring Security config here, and we copy the reference here. That's it for the configuration of OAuth2 authentication. Very simple, and we also need to permit access to this URL slash OAuth2 slash double asterisk, meaning everything afterward OAuth2, because in the login page we use this URL starting with /OAuth2. Okay, and permit all for this. Okay, and now we are ready to test login with GitHub and start this Spring Boot application. So you can see with Spring Security OAuth2 is very simple and easy to implement social login OAuth2 authentication. So developers can focus on developing the application's logic instead of wasting time in the configuration and infrastructure. So refresh the application here, click login, and now I click login with GitHub. But first I need to log out from my current GitHub account. Sign out here and click login with GitHub here. And you can see the sign into GitHub screen appears here, allowing the user to log into the application using their own GitHub account without the need to register a new account on the website. And here I use my GitHub account and click sign in. And then GitHub we ask to run permission to the submit application, which is the GitHub OAuth app name, and click authorize Nam here. And you'll see GitHub redirects me to the application homepage, and it displays my name is my name, my GitHub name Nam here, and click log out. And as long as you stay login in GitHub, you can log into the application easily. Just click this link and it will automatically logs you in, because I'm stay logged in with GitHub. Click log out, and if I want to use another GitHub account, I will need to sign out from current GitHub account first. Sign out here, and now I will log in with another GitHub account. Here I choose this account name Nam Java here and sign in. And it requires a device verification code here. So I need to log into my email to check the verification code sent from GitHub. Here you can see an email sent from GitHub here. Please verify your device and copy the code, paste here. Sorry, copy the code, paste here, verify, and authorize the application, submit application, authorize Namami. And upon successful authentication, it redirects me to the application homepage. And this time you can see the customer name is Nam Java here, not Nam Amin, because I'm logged in another GitHub account. And finally, I will show you how to implement an authentication success handler to intercept the Spring security filter chain to uh, execute the logic to check if the user is new. We register new user in the database or updating existing user information in the database to implement this workflow upon successful OAuth authentication. If the user is new, we register the new user in the database with the authentication provider information is GitHub. Else, we just update an information of the user, such as first name. So we create a new Java class here. New class. Name this class as the OAuth2 login success handler. and this class should extend the base class simple URL authentication success handler here, and we need to annotate this class using the component annotation. So Spring Framework will be able to inject an instance of this class into the Spring Security configuration here. So we create a new field private OAuth2 login success handler here. OAuth2 login success handler auto while here, and we configure the success handler here. Here after the end statement here, success handler OAuth2 login success handler, and here in the handler we override a single method is on authentication success. This method will be invoked by Spring Security upon successful authentication. And we have an instance of the customer services class here. So we can perform the check if the customer is new or not. Private customer service. So in this project, I have the customer service class here that implements the business logic for the customer. Okay, and you can see in the method parameter, it provides the authentication object here that represents the login user upon successful authentication. So we can get the custom OAuth2 user object from the authentication object here. OAuth2 user equal authentication dot get principal here, and cast the return object to the type of custom OAuth2 user, and then we get the login name of GitHub, because somehow GitHub doesn't return email of the user. So in this custom OAuth2 user class, we have the method to return the login name string get login, and this method returns the value of the attribute login provided by GitHub. So here we get a login name equal OAuth2 user get login, and in the customer services class, I have a method to get customer by email here. You can think email is username, so we can use this method to check if the customer is new or not. So here we call customer equal customer service get customer by email, and we pass the login name, and we check the returned customer object. If customer object is known, meaning that the customer login from GitHub is new. So we register new customer, else we print existing customer. Okay, save all the changes, and we are ready to test this authentication success handler. So go to the home page, login, and okay, we print the login name here for testing purpose. Login name, login name. Now login with GitHub, and it automatically logs me in, and the username is namjava, display name is namjava, and the login name is namjava here. You can see it prints a new customer here, meaning that this check guest customer by email return no. And let's check the database, and you can see in this customers table there's no customer with the username or email with namjava here, so it is correct. So here to register a new customer, we call the customer service method, customer service register new customer after OAuth login success, and create this method in the customer services class. And here we need to have some parameters is the login name, display name, and authentication provider, which is enum we created in the beginning of this video provider. And here we create a new customer object. So this code is depending on the business logic of the application. I just show you some examples. New customer, and I need to set the email username is the login name, and set first name to display name, and set enabled status is true, and set create time is the current date and time, and set the authentication provider is a value passed in provider here, and call the repository method customer report save customer here to proceed this customer object into the database. And here we pass the values for the parameters, login name, and display name is display name equal OAuth2 get full name, display name, and we pass the value for authentication provider is GitHub, meaning that the customer has come from GitHub authorization authentication. Okay, save the changes, and we are ready to test if the application register new customer or not upon successful authentication. Let's check the database first. In the customer table, you can see no customer with email or login name as namjava, right? You see. Now let me log in to the application via GitHub. Login with GitHub. Okay, I have logged in successfully, and let's check the database. Refresh, and you can see a new row was inserted here with the username is namjava here. Password is no because the customer comes from GitHub. First name is updated to display name, which is namjava here, and you can see in the column auth provider the value is the GitHub here. So the application can identify the authentication type for this customer, for this user. Perfect, right? And similarly, you can update the code to update the existing customer in case the customer information was already in the database. For example, customer service, update, existing customer, and create this method in the customer services class. And here we need to have an instance of customer object, display name, and authentication provider, and we set the first name to display name, and set the auth provider is provider here, and call the repository method customer report. Save here to update the customer object. And for this case, you can test yourself. I just show you an example. And we pass the values for the arguments of this method here. Customer, display name, and authentication type is the GitHub. Okay, save all the changes. So far you have learned how to implement login with GitHub for an existing Spring Boot application using Spring Security OAuth2 current library. I hope you will find this video helpful. Please help me to grow this channel by clicking the button subscribe and then like, comment and share this video. Thank you.